Hello, hey there, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you are. Welcome to this another edition of Bold and Raw Talks with me, Benjamin and Lydia Tett Olet. Today marks our 17th edition. If you'll be watching this for the first time, please remember that we have done this 16 times, and today is the 17th time. As you can see down here below, the show is every Monday from 6 p.m. the United Kingdom time, or from 8 p.m. the East African time, or if you're living in the US, it is from 12 p.m. in the afternoon Central Time. So you can tune in every Monday, and if you miss watching this show live when we're doing it on my Facebook page and my YouTube channel, you can always watch a repeat both on my Facebook page or in my YouTube channel. So I welcome you here in the next 1 hour as we have a talk together, me and Lydia. And you as the viewer, you can chime in on the comments section. You can always ask questions, or you can give your ideas on what is helping you, especially with this topic about parenting. As you can see there on the topic on your screen, today we will be focusing on when the children or teens misbehave, who is to blame. We are going to talk about the culture of blaming, and after that, we will also talk about how can a parent deal with misbehavior without blaming his or her child or children. So if you're a proud parent, please type there on the comments. You're a proud parent of how many? 1 child, 2 children? And let us know where you'll be watching us from. And please tag and share this video. Tag your friends on the comments. Bring them here. You can tag your partner, a fellow parent. Even though you're staying with your child or your child is away, please do that now and share this video on your timelines so that other parents, especially your friends who are parents, can come across to it. So thank you so much for all of you tuning in. Let us know. Lydia, my guest, is getting ready. In the next few seconds, she will be coming live on camera, and then we will talk about. The big question here is who to blame. Is it the society? Is it the children? Is it the parents? Why is it that when the children misbehave, if your child misbehaved today, why is it that the people will blame you as the parent? Is it fair? Is it okay for people to come and say your child is misbehaving because of you as a parent, or is because of the child, or is the teachers, or is the society, or is internet? We will try to find out who is to blame when children misbehave. Lydia, are you ready?
Yep.
All right. My guest is here, live and kicking. Welcome, Lydia. Hey. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I'm happy to see you again after 1 week.
I
And
know
how was your week generally?
my week was okay. Just
Yes,
looking forward to this topic, this
yes.
day,
Uh-huh.
because I'm always interested to talk about parenting and children in general.
Wow, me
Yeah.
too. Mondays are always my best, even though I have other shows. But this
Mm.
one, I'm always trying to learn too on what to do and not to do. And our
Yes.
viewers keep us going. Thank you so much, all the viewers who are tuning in here. Lydia is here with us, and we welcome you here for this discussion as you also contribute on the comments. Tell us you are a proud parent of how many? A proud parent of 2. Lydia is a proud parent of 3 beautiful angels.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm planning to begin bringing Lydia's daughters in this show so that they can also
Yeah.
share what their mother has been doing to them, especially on this topic.
Uh,
Very,
Scary, but
very, very, very soon we will be bringing some of the Lydia's daughters, and then we can ask them questions so that we can compare notes what Lydia is saying and how she has been raising her 3 daughters. So are you a parent who is watching us? Tell us on the comment there. Wow, already comments are coming in, Lydia.
wow.
Evening,
Okay.
Lisa is saying, I don't
I
believe in
don't believe.
spoiling your children.
Right. That's the one. That's the one.
Buying gifts, birthday gift, a child will tell you to buy a very expensive.
Gift.
Is that spoiling, or you're just making your child happy? Eh? Who is going to buy your child a very nice gift if you don't
Mm,
spoil them?
mm,
Kay Mbaiwa says 3 kids age 19 and 17
mm-hmm.
with their 9 years brother from Botswana. Good evening here. Wow, this one now is dealing with the real teenagers that we are talking about. Kay,
Mm,
tell
mm.
us, Kay Mbaiwa, who is to blame when your children misbehave, especially the 17-year-old one? 17 are the worst. Haya, I see you. Haya is a proud parent of 2 blessings. Thank you so much, Haya, for joining us today. Beatrice Njeri is a proud parent of 3 blessed boys. Wow. This one has 3 boys. And
Wow.
Lydia, you have 3 girls.
3 girls. Can we swap Beatrice?
Beatrice Njeri, is it easy to raise 3 boys? Anne K. Mudhoni is a parent of a 1 daughter. Okay, wow. Even raising 1 daughter can be
challenging.
another challenge. It's a huge challenge. The daughter wants everything from you. In today's era, Evening Lisa says, the government doesn't believe in correcting your children. So the first blame is going to the government.
Okay.
Oh my goodness. Who do you blame? The topic for today is who do you blame? Last week, we begin with a summary of last week. Last week, we had a guest, Duncan Owiti, and he was talking about his son who is autistic.
Yeah.
And he talked about blaming. And he said that even though his son is 11 years, if you watch that 16th edition, Duncan was talking about raising his son who is autistic and how his family, his neighbors, and even his and the society around him blames him. Yeah. So this thing about blaming, it can go to any parent and any family. It doesn't matter where you come from, whether you have children who have no special needs or children with special needs. We live in a culture of blaming, and let's begin with a simple definition of blaming. Those who like Googling, what is blaming? What is blaming in Swahili, Lydia? Blame, kwa Swahili language.
Yes, why? Why would you do that to me? Why are you doing that to me, Benji?
Blaming in Swahili language. Kuwekelea.
Umenisingizia.
Kusingizia ama kuwekelea mtu. What is blaming according to you? So that we understand that when you are doing this, you are blaming yourself, you are blaming your child, you are blaming the government. And what is blaming according to you? Lydia, let me even ask you, what is blaming, not Swahili language? What is blaming according to you?
I feel is passing responsibility to someone else. That is part of blaming. And also taking on too much responsibility to yourself. And that is blaming. Now, when you're blaming yourself and not appreciating yourself. So you're blaming yourself and not appreciating the good things you've done. So you're only focusing on the bad things that you've done, or taking responsibility, something that you're supposed to take responsibility, and you're passing it to somebody else.
So when, for example, your son does not do homework, you blame yourself as a parent that because you are very busy, you don't follow what he is doing.
Yes.
So you take that blame as a parent. And also blaming the teacher. The teacher is giving my son too much homework.
Too much work.
Yes.
Or less work.
Or less work.
Yeah, or blaming your husband or your wife that it was you are the one who's supposed to do this with them. But you had the opportunity to do it, but you're passing the blame to someone else. Oh, it's the government. We always hear parents saying it's the government. We hear the government saying it's the parents. So like you rightfully said, Benjamin, everybody is looking for someone to pass the responsibility to.
Yes. Passing responsibility. So as you're listening to us, continue sharing the video. Blaming, according to Lydia and also for me, is passing that responsibility. It is not my mistake. It is someone's mistake. It is social media. It is the teacher. It is the government. And we live in a culture, Lydia, where people, starting from politicians, I like beginning with politicians, the most hated people in the world, politicians.
They're the most liars anyway.
Politicians, and you go, the list is very long. Politicians, celebrities, and politicians and celebrities are always on the limelight for good and bad reasons. And they always don't want to take responsibility of their mistakes. And this goes now from the celebrities to the children and to the parent. And even now the parent don't want to take any blame, and the children also don't want to take any blame.
Yeah.
And you see, it is very irritating when you hear your child saying, it's not my fault.
Yeah.
Si makosa yangu. It's not my fault. It's because of you. Yeah. It's because of you. You have raised 3 daughters. I don't know about your experience. Obviously, I want to ask you, amongst the 3 daughters, who likes whining or who liked whining but has stopped? And what
I
was she always whining about or complaining about?
I think it's I mean it's that's a nice question. It's nice that you asked that because all of them have their own personality. They're totally different. The firstborn is always laid back. She's just whatever mommy says, whatever goes on, she's kind of laid back. So she's not someone who pushes and whines and complains. For her, it's just what she sees, that's it. But the second born is the one that pushes. And she reminds me of me when I was a younger version of me without wisdom. I always tell her that. You remind me of me, a younger version of me without wisdom. Because for her, she'll just say what it is. She'll whine, she'll complain. She is the second born who likes. Because she likes things a certain way. So she's always complaining this, saying this. And then the third one is a mix of laid back and complaining. So for her is mixed. So you can't really sometimes when you think she's going to complain, she's not. When you think she's not going to complain, she complains.
Then she will
But
complain.
yeah, that the middle one, you know exactly where she's coming from. She will definitely complain. Yeah.
Wow. Thank you for responding to that. And you as a viewer, because we want to engage you as a parent, if you have two children, if you have a boy and a girl, who likes complaining more? Lydia, my guest here, has 3 daughters, for those who don't know her, and she's a Kenyan proudly living in the United Kingdom. And if you are a parent, let me see, and you have 1 or 2 children, no, 2 children,
Yeah.
2 or more, who likes complaining? And I don't know about the boys and girls. Lydia, you don't have boys.
No.
In your own analysis, between boys and girls, who complain the more?
I think it's God, I don't even know because I don't have a boy.
You don't
But
have
I
a
know
boy, but you have some
people with
friends,
boys,
and you have
yeah.
dealt with some of the boys who come to your house. You see them
I
talking with your daughters.
Yeah, I
In
think
your
the boys,
observation,
yeah, I think the boys complain more. I think the boys complain about everything upon anything. I think they complain more. Yeah, because I think they don't really understand how life goes, how life moves. They're in their own planet.
Yeah, you see, like what Njesh is saying. The girl, older son, is very laid back, like your daughter is very laid back and relaxed.
Last one
But the last born is matata. The last one is war. If you have more than 2 children, who likes blaming a lot? The
And
firstborns.
complaining.
I am a firstborn in my family, and let me see. In my family, we are 6. I would say my secondborn. I don't know, but they are watching me. I'm not blaming them. I'm just saying the brother who follows me used to complain a lot and blame a
Yeah.
lot, but now he's old enough. I think now he has begun taking responsibility.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the show, we want people to take responsibility, especially your child. It's not your mistake that your child is misbehaving.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, the child must accept that, hey, I made a mistake, and this was my mistake. I was told not to do this. So this is nobody to blame but myself.
Yeah.
And then the other siblings, I don't want to talk about, but we have a last born who is a girl. Last borns are a special case. She's always blaming, but also she's beginning to take responsibilities.
Yeah.
Yeah. I want us
I think there's an age where they get and all they do is complain, and then I think they grow up. They grow from that. But some of them don't. That's the problem. Now that is what I think we'll talk about, because some of them, even at their adulthood, they complain, and then their children actually see how mommy or dad is behaving, and they copy that behavior. Because, like we said, your children, you are your first model. Your children see you first. Your children know you first, and they don't do what you say. They do what you do. So if all the time what you do is complain and whinge and blame, they'll just take that, because the behavior just trickles from one person to the other. It trickles down. So your behavior will trickle down to your own children. So there'll be a copy of what you do. You see, like these parents that lie all the time, they lie. The children just start lying because to them that's the norm.
Wow. And talking about the parents blaming themselves, You can imagine a parent saying in front of the child, "I blame myself,"
Yeah.
or maybe the parent is speaking and saying, "Wow, my daughter is misbehaving like this. It's because of me. It's because I'm
Yeah.
a single parent. It's because I'm always busy. I'm not at home. That's why my daughter," and the daughter is listening.
Yeah.
Don't you think the children will also begin seeing, "Wow, so it is not my mistake"?
Yeah. That child will never grow to take responsibility, because responsibility is either always passed to the mom, and if it's not passed to the mom, they'll look for someone else to pass it to, because it's never their fault. It's the fault of an adult, because their parent is an adult. So they'll always look for an adult to blame.
To blame.
Yeah.
Even if it's a teacher, they will say, "Oh, it's the teacher." Eh? Like,
Yeah,
for
it's the
example,
teacher's
if
fault.
yeah, if your daughter fights at school with another student, who do you think will be most likely be blamed?
The parent.
Uh-huh.
The parent will be blamed, because they'll say you've not taught your children manners. Everything that a child does, it always goes back to the parent. So that's why when the parents are now blaming the government, and the parents are blaming the society or the community, the government, the society, and the community will blame you as a parent.
They don't care.
They don't care whether you are a strict parent, you're a loving parent, whatever you do, they don't care. All they see is huyu hakufundishwa na mamai, au huyu hakufundishwa na wazazi. That's all they'll say. Nobody's looking for the government to blame on your behalf. You are the only person who will be blaming the government.
Wow. And the question is, why? Why do people blame the parents? I want to ask you, the viewers, why do you think people blame the parent and say, where was her parent? Huyu mzazi wake ni bure kabisa, eh? Why in your own, if you're a parent, why do you think people blame you as a parent? And Lydia, you're a parent too. Why do you think the first blame is always the parent?
Because you are the one who brought those children into existence. You're the one who brought them into the world, not your neighbor, not the government. And you are the one who was with those children since they were little. And you are the one who saw them grow. You are the one who fed them. You are the one who spoke to them. You are the one they were looking up to, your own behavior. You are the one who disciplined them. You are the one who spoiled them if they once are spoiled. So you are the one who is responsible for every single thing that happens to those children. That is why anytime something happens, the first person is, where's the parent? And now, you see, she say charity begins at home. Exactly. And the reason, what I hate the most in this blame game is always the mom. First of all, even if the mom and the dad are together, but it's always, mama yake yuko wapi? It's always first, where's the mother? So I don't understand why blame always goes to the mother when there's a father.
Why don't people ask, where is the father? Where is the father of this boy?
Yeah, it's always the mom. It's always the mom. And that is why the other topic, when we were talking about another day, we were talking about women. That is why women, it's your responsibility to look after that. Don't look at the man. Now I'm talking to women. I know it's both the man and the woman that brought this child into existence, but if anything happens, if your girl is pregnant at a young age, your boy is in prison, your boy is in a gang, whatever, they'll say the mom. It's the mom's fault. Every time is always the mom's fault. So for you, because you don't want to, your name, you shouldn't live caring what people think about you, but you should live caring what your child or what your children think about you, what your children are doing because of what you did, because of your outcome as a parent, what will affect your children. So you should care about that. You shouldn't say, I don't care even when what my children think about me. No, you should, because you brought them in this world. So you have to look after them. It's your responsibility until they get to that age of, now I'm an adult. So then you can now relax and say, okay, you know what? I did my part as a mother. But mothers, we should take that responsibility and say, this is my child. Forget, whether you're with the dad at that time or you're not with the dad, take that child as your own company, as you're a CEO of an organization. If you're a CEO of an organization or a director, sometimes you wouldn't even want your husband near it, because you don't know if he's coming to spoil it, if he's coming to give you bad advice, no, because it's your baby. So you have to be on the front line. So this baby is yours. Yes, your husband is there, or your partner is there, or the dad is there. The dad also has his own responsibility, but you are number one in this child's life, because it's always the mothers. And even if something happens to the child, I know the father also feels pain. But don't forget the way we are created, the way we were formed. Women are emotionally attached to everything. That's why they always say that if a woman cheats, it's bad, because she cheats with her emotions, everything attached to it. If a man cheats, sometimes it's just sex. They don't even care about this person. It's just sex and they're moving on. A woman is always attached. So as a woman, you need to be attached to your children. Because if anything happens to them, that because of the attachment that you have as a woman, because we are emotionally attached, you'll be so much hurt than the dad. And that's the reality of life. Yes, maybe 5% of the men will be more they are more attached to the children than the women, because we also have some women who are detached to the children for whatever reason. Maybe because they had postnatal depression when they had the child, so it affected them. That can also happen. So that's why some women are so detached to their children, because they affected them when they had the child. And that is something to do with science. That is something to do with medicals. That is something it's medical, clinically a situation. So we can't control that. But women, if you're just okay, like okay, you're not sick, anything, make sure that child, you protect that child with everything that comes. That's why you see when a husband dies, when there's no man, and then he marries a second wife, they always say, Mama Wakambo, a second wife is the worst, because that's what women do. Women attach themselves with things. So if that woman is mistreating your child, my friend, you don't see a lot of stepfathers mistreating it's always the stepmothers. Or most of the time is the stepmothers. Stepfathers, yes, they do that as well, but mostly it's stepmothers.
I like the way you have put it out there, especially for the mothers who are watching here. And like I always say in most of my shows, that this idea, or this amazing gift that God has given women to carry a child, to give birth, comes with a lot of responsibility, right from the conception to up to giving birth and then raising the child. We are talking about raising a child until this child is able to make independent decisions with very few mistakes. And that comes with a lot of responsibilities. As Lydia has talked about, the blame goes to the mothers a lot. I've seen it in my family. You have seen it in your families as a viewer, that any child who misbehaves in your family, the blame is always on the mother. And I don't know when this will change in our society, that even the fathers will be included. But you as a father who is watching us, understand that if your child misbehaves, you don't have to blame your wife. Because I'm sure there is a father who is watching us here, happily married, but when the child, the daughter or the son will begin misbehaving, they will not blame themselves.
Yeah,
They will blame them. It's always the mother. So why the mother? Because it comes with a lot of responsibilities, and the mothers have to take care of the children and take care of the family all the way until the children grow up. And but my challenge to you as a father who is watching us here, do your best not to take the blame to anyone else, not even yourself or to your wife, but to make sure that your child begins taking responsibility. The topic here today is not about blaming. It is making sure that your child finally understand it is his or her mistakes. It is not you as a parent's mistake. He has to accept that he has done wrong, and he is corrected, and then he stops doing that. But Lydia, I want us to move on some of the other reasons why people blame children or blame themselves. There is the idea of giving responsibilities to children. The responsibilities like home chores. And you remember, this child is going to school. The child has extracurricular activities. I remember you mentioned your daughters are not so much into extracurricular activities. There is a parent who is watching us. Your son is in extracurricular at school. There is home chores, cleaning, but these days I don't know if those kids are cleaning. And like us, we used to do everything. I think our generation was a generation of everything. There was no internet, there was no phone, there was no WhatsApp, there was no Facebook. We were just going to school and also coming back home, clean, cook, do for me as a firstborn, I was doing almost everything by as age as 14,
Yeah.
cooking, cleaning, going to school. But how about these giving responsibilities? How can a parent balance between giving responsibilities that can make the children not to misbehave so that there is no blaming? How have you done it with your daughters?
I think when it comes to things like house chores, that is a must because that is part of growing up. That is part of being able. That is part of molding your child into adulthood. Because if you don't teach them house chores, how are they going to move in their own houses and cope? Because even though some people like people in Africa, they have house helps, or house managers, whatever name they want to give them. Even though you have these house helps or house managers, you have to also train your children to be independent when it comes to chores. But there's always a balance. So, because I know that there are some parents who just let the children are cleaning, the children are doing this. So the child don't even have time to either study, they don't have time to do extra curriculum. They're just chores. And then they'll come and fail. They fail again, they're being beaten, they're being blamed, and you're forgetting that it's because of you this child has actually failed, because the child was forever doing chores, cleaning, doing this. That is not the child's responsibility. That is you as a parent responsibility. It's not for your child to look after the little ones. You know, some parents, they go and just have children, just go and have children anyhow, anywho. No family planning, no thinking, no planning. So because they've just had children anyhow, anywho, they now take the firstborn or the secondborn, take them as their house helps because they can't afford the house help. So it's the firstborn or the secondborn's responsibility to look after the little ones, to cook, to clean. Because now a parent has to go to work and come and put a roof over their head. But it's not their responsibility. That's not their job. So there's a balance that you have to balance of how am I going to train my children to know how to wash clothes, how to wash dishes, how to mop the house, how to keep the house clean. There's that. So you have to balance and also let them know, read their books, let them do the education, because education is plan A regardless. Even if we don't, at the end of it, we don't get jobs through it, we don't do, but education is plan A and no one can take that knowledge from you.
Wow. Like for your daughter, the firstborn, when she turned 13 or 14, what are some of the responsibilities you assigned to her?
I assigned to her when she was not even 13 or 14. By the time they are 5.
You started at 5?
5 years.
Wow.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. These things, you need to start these things early.
The earlier the better.
In fact, even 5 was late. When they were young, you know, when they're 1 year old and they have toys, and then during the day they have their toys all over the house. They play with this toy, it's in the bedroom. At night, I will never clean their toys. I remember when my daughter was so young, one day people came to visit me. My daughter, my firstborn, I think she was only 1 year plus, and the toys were all over. And then the auntie started cleaning. I said, no, don't clean those toys. It's her mess. She has to clean it up. And they're like, oh, Lydia, but she's just a child. I said, I don't care. She's not a child. She knows that she messed these things. If I clean it up for her, tomorrow again, she goes because we used to have this big bag that she has her toys. She'll go and bring those toys. So she should know that when you're bringing those toys out, you should also have the knowledge that now I have to put these toys back. But parents, if the child does that, and then every time you're cleaning after them, you clean after them, they will never learn. Never learn.
Because you're taking away the responsibility that they should be doing that. So you're taking,
Yes.
if they don't do it, then you will blame them or blame yourself. But because you have not
Yes.
trained them.
You've not trained them.
Yeah.
So they have to do it themselves. So my children from cleaning their toys, they have to know how to clean their toys. And then, yes, I used to spread their bed when they were younger. And then when they go to a certain age, I say, okay, spread your bed. Even though they don't do it properly, I'll come and spread it again. But they have to do the first step. And then I'll come and do it again for them. And then when I see, okay, now they're older, like my firstborn, I remember when my firstborn was 11 years old, she made a meal And my sister, because my elder sister is here with me, my elder sister took the meal and she took it to work. And when she got to work, they asked her, wow, who cooked this? And she said, it's my daughter. Do you know what they said, Benjamin? Do you know what the Muzungu in that place said? That they said that that's child abuse. I was like, what?
Really?
Yes, they said
Yes.
it's child abuse. That how can an 11-year-old be allowed in the kitchen to cook such a meal?
That is child
But
abuse.
that's child abuse. That is what they told my sister. My sister called me and said, Lydia, I took this thing and this is what they say. They say this is child abuse. I said, please don't ever take food in my house again to your workplace. I don't want trouble. But my daughter will still do exactly what she does. By the time my firstborn was 11 years old, she was cooking. She was cooking for all of us in the house.
I started
But
cooking
there
at the age of 10. I started cooking because as a
Exactly.
firstborn, I started cooking at 10. Yeah.
Yeah. So you have, so it doesn't matter if you're in first world, like they call it, first world countries. It doesn't matter where you are. You have to train your children. But also there's a limit. Not that now that's her job that she has to be cooking. It has to be something she said, oh mommy, I want to cook today. And she was so excited of cooking. So I say, okay, you're cooking, but I'm helping you. So you make this and I make this and I make this. So you're there with them and you're doing it together, and that's fun. But when you now force them, and then now you've gone to work and you tell them, when I come back, I need to find dinner in the house, and for an 11-year-old, that is now, you can say, child abuse. But when we're doing it together, I'm making this and she's making this and we're laughing and we're making, by the time she finishes, she's so proud of what she's done. She wants everybody to see what she's done. So you have to train your children.
Wow.
No excuse.
Thank you. Giving responsibilities is why, for us, as we talk about this topic, remember the show is every Monday, as you can see down here below. If you're watching us for the first time, remember to like and follow the page, and also Lydia Tett's Facebook account. She's going to be talking about there on the screen. That is her name. If you want to hear and see much or many of her videos and talks, that is her name, Lydia Tett Olet. And we want to say thank you for all of you who have been joining us since the beginning up to now. We are halfway through this show. If you just joined us, you have been missing the most crucial part of why do people always blame. And we are still winding up that first part of why people always blame, especially the parents. And then we will be focusing, the next part will be on what to do. What to do when this blame game has to come to an end. At the end of this show, parents must stop blaming. Children must stop blaming. We do not want to live in a society of blaming. We are not politicians. We are not celebrities. The two groups that blame and complain about, and they don't take responsibility. A celebrity will never take responsibility. It's my mistake. No, it is the viewers, it is the followers, it is the society, it is the pressure of social media. The same thing with politicians. They will never take responsibility of their mistakes. And Lydia, that makes me to move to the other reason of why people like blaming is people don't want to feel bad about their actions. For example, when you're overspeeding and then the police stops you,
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
will you say?
Some of them say, oh, I didn't see the camera.
Ah,
You did not see the camera. You know, oh, I didn't see the police. I didn't see this. Oh, I was late. So imagine if you're on that road speeding, doing 80. I do speed, so I take responsibility when I'm
sometimes you overspeed. Yeah, we always do that. Yes.
yeah, and I take it. I'm like, oh, now you know. But when you use excuses, and that's what the world has become, Benjamin. There's always reasons. There's always excuses. There's always shifting blame, shifting to this. Nobody wants to take responsibility for their own action. So, but we have to learn to take responsibilities, and that is what's happening now. That's why we always blame the government. How can your child goes to the shop, your child is 12, to steal, and they're caught, and you're blaming the government? How did the government tell your child to go to the shop and steal?
How?
Where was that government telling the child to go and steal? And 100%, you did not send your child to steal either. But the thing is, when a child, the first time that child steals something, you have to deal with that situation. But some parents, a child will steal something. Like now, I even saw it in a newspaper today. They were saying that a lot of children now, I'm talking about the UK now, they sell drugs, and they are all into all these bad activities to feed the family. So how can your child, a 16-year-old, a 15-year-old, a 17-year-old, even 18, go outside and bring this posh car to you and you take it? You're not even asking, where did you get this money from? Your child comes back with trainers. Every time my children wear something new, I know it. And I'll be like, where did you buy this? I've never seen this top. Where did you get it from? Oh, I bought it from when? Oh, with what money? You know? Oh, so you need to be on your children's case. But if you're a parent who they wear anything, you don't care what they're wearing, you don't care to ask where the money came from, you don't care to ask when they got it, they'll just be buying things and people will be giving them money outside. So first of all, you have to train your children to be content with what they have. I know somebody said if you buy your children expensive gifts, I think it was you,
Spoil,
Benjamin.
yeah. If spoiling,
Yeah. Buying your children expensive gifts, to me, is not spoiling them. Because a child some children are so disciplined, some children are so good, some children are so good. And you know what, Benjamin? We have more children who are good than bad.
There are very many, yeah.
I always give example with water, this bottle of water. If the water is full up to there, you see it's totally full, and then you just take a little drop of sewage water and put it there, that's it. The whole of this water is bad, and nobody can use it anymore just because of a drop of a sewage water. So we do have a lot of children who are good, but because of the society, because of the media, they just blast so many times. That's the children who are bad. The children who are good are not seen. They always talk about the ones who are bad, the ones who did this. So even the good ones, sometimes they sit back and say, so for me to be acknowledged,
I gotta do something wrong. Yes,
I gotta do something bad for people to know that I exist. So those good children, they don't get enough credit. So we do have good children out there. So if your child is one of those children who are really, really focused, I can buy my child. I bought my child a 500 pounds what is it called? Special edition of Nike. Was it Nike or shoes?
Oh,
and if I tell anybody that, and if I tell anybody, they're like, what? 500 pounds? I said, I bought it for her because that child she's the most kind child. She makes her own money. She never goes out. Benjamin, if my daughter goes out, 2 hours later, she's back. I'm like, what are you doing here? We always tell her, go out. She'll never sleep in anybody's house. And anytime she's at home, all she does is bakes. So she makes so much money for herself. So this is a child that I know that I can buy her anything, and I'm not spoiling her. She deserves it. So buying your children expensive gifts, it's not necessarily spoiling them. Yes, it is one that you're spoiling them, because some parents will replace them being there with expensive gifts. That is spoiling.
Or taking the blame, like the parent is feeling guilty. Wow. And we're going to talk briefly about guilt and shame. My son is misbehaving, so if I buy him or these expensive gifts, then he will start behaving and I will stop feeling guilty.
Yes. And I'll stop feeling it. Now that is spoiling because it's for a wrong reason. You're buying it for a wrong purpose. Why are you buying that? But for my daughter, she told me, oh, I want 500 pounds trainers. I didn't even think twice. I just said, wow, they have trainers for 500 pounds. Because even me, I was shocked. Dang, 500 pounds trainers.
It's
and she
expensive.
was like, yeah, it's expensive. And she was like, yeah, mom, it's special edition. And then I said, wow, let me see them. And she showed me and I said, okay, don't worry. I'll get you them. I got them the next day for her because she deserves it. And that's not spoiling, that's appreciation. So there's a difference between spoiling a child and appreciating your child.
Of how they are becoming better and taking responsibilities.
Exactly.
And on that note, I want to ask the viewers, what is the most expensive gift you have ever bought your child? Tell us there in the comments. If you're a parent who is watching us, please continue sharing this video. We are almost coming to an end, but we're still talking. We have a few more minutes, like 20 minutes to go. Tell us on the comments there, what is the most expensive gift you have ever bought for your son or for your daughter? And what was the reason? It's better for us also to say the reason, like what Lydia is saying. 500 pounds. I don't think, Lydia, you have ever bought yourself trainers of 500 pounds.
What? I'll be sleeping with them in my room.
Tell us there, viewers, the most expensive gift you have ever bought for your son or for your daughter, and why? Why did you buy for him? Was it because he was blaming you that you're a bad mother, and then you wanted to cover up that blame? Let me see. Chogo says, Chogo Nyadendi, $360. I am a very cheap parent. Okay.
No, that's not cheap.
That's
Don't
not
call
cheap.
yourself cheap, parent.
Don't
That's
call
very
yourself cheap.
expensive.
Yeah.
And on that note, Benjamin, let me
Yes.
just say something. Even if you bought your child a 10 pounds, 10 pounds or
Just
10
10 pounds,
10
yeah.
Kenya shillings, it's not how much you buy, it's not how much whatever you bought costed. It's the thought and the reason behind why you bought it. Because there might be a parent who their salary can only afford 10 shillings.
Yes.
And with your last 10 shillings, you take that 10 shillings and buy your child a gift. That is beautiful. That is appreciated. It's not about how much money you buy it.
Because there's nothing you can buy that is so big
or so small.
or so small.
There's nothing so big or so small. So you're not a cheap parent. Retrieve that word. You're a very expensive parent.
Be contented. I can afford this, and you can explain to your child, I can afford this. And we don't want to make you feel like, wow, I don't have this money to buy. All of us, we don't have the same money. If we had the same money, we would be staying in the same houses.
Yeah.
We are not the same in the world. There's a celebrity who is buying, or there's a rich man who is buying a very expensive car as the first birthday gift for his teenager. And you know,
and when they hear me saying 500 pounds, they look at me and say, "Is that all? That's change."
Yeah.
You understand? So it's not about the money.
It's not about the money. It's just the gift that you're appreciating your child and how they are becoming better children and not blaming anyone, you know?
Yeah.
Let me see on the comments here. Somebody called Tijani. He bought Tijani. I don't know whether it's a man or a woman. I'm sorry to Ibidan or Ibidun. Bought Jordan trainers, which is 110, I think maybe $110.
Yeah.
About 100 pounds. Xbox, this is Njesh. She bought Xbox for 525 pounds.
Yeah.
Chogo says, I did because he got good grades and I was appreciating him. I was appreciating him.
That's good.
Sorry, Chogo says, I bought one at 25,000 a car.
That's
25,000 a car. Chogo Nyadendi, you see? So some parents have bought something for their children, and keep letting us know in the comments there. What are some of the gifts you bought, and why did you buy them these gifts?
And even Benjamin, talking of the gifts, even if, because some parents, sometimes they don't have anything, they don't even have 10 shillings to buy a gift, because that 10 shillings they'll think of, if I give this 10 shillings, I don't have money to buy sugar, I don't have money to buy milk. It's still okay. You can still appreciate your child by just giving your child a hug, telling your child, giving your child assurance of all these good things, appreciating your child by speaking all the positive things in their lives, praying for them. That is enough. So you don't have to feel like I need to look for money to buy my child something to appreciate them. No, appreciation comes in different ways. Like we learned about praise. When you're praising God, it's in different ways. You can praise God by inside without even opening your mouth. You can praise God by singing. You can praise God by dancing, laughing, or giving somebody a gift. That's praising God. You can praise God in whichever way.
Even volunteering to work in church, you know, helping in the church.
That's praising God. So you can also appreciate your child in any way or form, not necessarily buying them a gift. So even just hugging them and telling them, giving them all this assurance with all these positive words, and even cooking just a good meal. Let's say you cook chapati once a year because of financial difficulties. So chapati maybe is only Christmas. Like my family, when we saw chapati,
chapati was gold.
It was gold.
Yes.
So even just cooking a chapati for your child and saying, you know what, because you've done so well and I appreciate you, today we're going to have chapati on your behalf. So it's not, don't feel like, oh, but me, I don't have money, so I can't talk. No.
And remember, again, those gifts are not to take away the blame. We are not covering the blame. This gift topic that we are talking about here, they are parents who take the blame. Because when parents take the blame from the society, from the world, from the child, they want to cover up the shame and the guilt. And we don't want you to become one of those parents. As we began this show, we say that children must know that they should not blame anyone for their mistakes. Starting from today, when your son or your daughter is making or doing anything bad or wrong, so long as you have explained to them, and Lydia, we have not talked about that part, that there are parents who overreact. After blaming themselves, of course they overreact, they can kick the child, they can call the child the names, but they have not told the child about that this is a mistake. When you go out and come back late, it's a mistake because of A, B, C, D. Talk briefly to the parents about explaining. We talked about rules and in one
And
of our shows.
regulations.
Yeah, rules and regulations. Some parents were saying no rules. Those rules must be there. Please explain to parents briefly why they need to first of all correct the mistake, and then eventually the child will never blame anyone but themselves. How did you
Yeah.
do with your daughters?
Because the thing is, when your children start leaving the house, they'll mix with other people. They'll mix with some friends that have different rules and regulations in the houses. They'll mix with friends who don't even have rules and regulations. Like some viewers last time were saying, "Oh, by rules and regulations, it shouldn't be there." So they'll also mix with those children with there's no boundary. Some parents have no boundaries. So they'll mix with all those different children. And like we spoke the other day as well, and I know we can talk about this in another topic. Don't choose friends for your children. I don't believe in that. So I think we'll talk about that probably next week. And your children will mix with all sorts of Dick and Harrys out there, and you don't know what they're talking about. So your child, your rules and regulation might be come back home at 10 p.m. Okay, by 10 p.m. you're home. A child, another child outside might say 10. No, don't tell your children, your child, and don't forget that the voice outside is always stronger than the voice inside, regardless. The voice outside is more stronger because these children, they love and appreciate their friends. They always feel like, I want to fit in. For me to fit in, I have to do what my friends are doing. And that's another topic we have to teach our children, to stand out and not to fit in. And now, because of that, your child might push the boundaries and say, you know what? Okay.
I can stay up to midnight. Yeah. I can stay up to midnight. Yeah.
Let me do it and see what mommy will do. Okay. So if your child does that, sit that child down, explain to them why they should never, ever again do that. Okay, explain to them. Don't just come and the child just came at 10:30 and and overreact. You overreact and no explanation.
Take away the phone, close the internet, cut Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
Yes.
You have to explain to them why they should never again repeat that mistake, because if they do, everything you do has a repercussion, and you will not like the repercussion. So they have to know that. Some children, even though you've said that to them and explained that to them, they might still push that boundary.
They will repeat the same again. After 1 week, again, he will go out and stay up to midnight.
Yes, because they'll go out and talk to their friends and say, so they'll say, what did your mom do? Or what did your dad do? Oh, they didn't do anything. They just told me not to do it again. Oh, you see, they will not do anything. They will just say that one. Okay, they'll do it again. The second time they do it, now, whatever this child likes the most, we just take it away from them. Wow. Because if you take out their phone and they don't really like my firstborn, her phone means nothing to her. So if I'd taken her phone away from her, she doesn't care, because her phone can be upstairs and she's downstairs. Up to today, her phone is not something that she's like this, like other children every time their phone. She's not like.
So you go for the thing that they like the most. You go for that one.
The thing that will hurt them the most, the thing that will start begging you. Sometimes my children will say, Mommy, just give me this punishment, but allow me this. I'm like, nah, it's what they like the most, and that will hurt them, that you take away or you do to them. And then they will not repeat that mistake again. Because now they'll be like, hey, so my mom is serious. And the thing that I tell parents, if you tell your child that if they do it again, they will have a repercussion.
There is always a repercussion, and you must do it. That repercussion, you must do it.
You must do it.
If you do this, I will cut off Wi-Fi for 1 week, and you do that.
Don't even tell them what you'll do. Just tell them there's a repercussion. So now, because if you tell them you cut the Wi-Fi, they'll prepare their minds that, okay, Wi-Fi will be cut. If the Wi-Fi is not there, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this. So they've prepared already their mind how they will deal with the repercussion that you give them. But if you don't tell them what it is, now you've left them wondering, what is she going to do? Is she going to tell me this? Is she going to do this? Is she going to do this? Now they don't know what you're going to do. So because of that, they might not repeat the mistake again.
So the key thing, the key thing is you must you must have a is it a punishment? What are we
Consistency,
calling this? Yeah?
consistency is important.
Is it
Whatever
punishment? Are you
it
punishing, like
is.
if your child is doing the same mistake the second time or the third time, and then you cut off this, you take away the good things? Is it a punishment?
Yeah, punishment equals to discipline.
It's a discipline. You're disciplining the child.
Yeah, so punishment equals to discipline. So it is that. It is punishment equals to discipline. You must. Because if you don't do it, they'll do it again and they do it again. And then now it's out of hand. So now, when you now try to do it, they say, but mom, I did it the other day, and the other day, and the other day. Now they'll look at you like you're not a serious person. I've done this so many times. So why are you making noise now? Why is it a big deal now?
So there must be repercussions. Like what here, you see Matolo Brenda is saying, okay, thanks, Lydia. I'm always shouting at my son for not doing his schoolwork. Huh? I will come with a storm to him. I don't know what storm. Shouting doesn't help. Explaining on what they are doing is wrong is much more important.
Yeah, shouting
Sitting
doesn't
down, you sit down, you switch off the TV, switch off the phone, tell him or her, put away your phone. I have a discussion with you. Yesterday you did this and this. It is wrong because of A, B, C, D. And if you continue doing this, or if you repeat, I will also do something to you so that you understand that this is wrong.
Do you know Benjamin shouting, right?
Uh-huh.
The children they switch off.
They switch off, yeah. So you're just talking and it's you're making noise. Just finish.
Yeah,
I want to go.
When you finish, just ask them, what did I say? They will
Nothing.
not even repeat what you said because they did not hear, because they switched off your voice.
Shouting is not good.
No, but when you're having a conversation with them, you see, now they're responding. You're having a conversation. So you're talking and they're talking, which means that they understand everything you're saying because you're having a conversation. You're giving them time to respond, time to talk, and you're all talking. But if it's just they switch off. By the time you finish, you ask them, what did I say? Did you hear what I said? They might say, yes, what did I say? They don't know you said. Probably
I don't
then
know.
only the last word you said.
I heard you said said. Said is the last word you said. So parents, especially the women, the mothers who are watching us, shouting has never helped. Even the men. Men don't like women who like shouting. From my experience, if you want your man to address your issues, sometimes you can shout, but if you continue shouting, that's why men say most women like nagging, and I like playing that funny video. There's this video, just like a short commercial break of how shouting works. We are going to assume this is a parent who is shouting and screaming to their child. I'm sorry to play this clip, but it's always a very funny clip, and let's all of us watch for only 20 seconds. So that's a parent shouting to the child. The child is just there.
Switched off. Switched off. And then you
Switched off. You finish what you're saying. I want to go to my room and go on with it. Shouting has never solved anything or helped anything. Even when we are shouting towards the government or the politicians, politicians don't care. They never do anything. But when there's a conversation, then we are heading somewhere.
Yeah.
Lydia, I want us to finish now on what to do about this blame game. What can a parent do? And I believe that one of the things is to stop blaming yourself and keep the focus on child's behavior.
Yeah.
This way I want, if you're a parent, you can take notes how to deal with this monster of blaming. Number one is to begin focusing on the child's behavior and not blaming yourself.
Yeah.
The whole issue in this show here today is about bad behavior. We are trying to make sure that our children do not do or make mistakes or do not repeat doing them. At the end of the day, we don't want your son or your daughter to continue making those mistakes. They can cost him, they can cost her, and the repercussions can be very, very bad to you as a parent. Lydia, talk briefly about focusing on a child's behavior.
Well, the thing is, when a child does something wrong, because we're shouting and we are blaming, we do not deal with
With the
whatever the
behavior.
child did. We don't deal with the behavior. We're just passing on because we're shouting, and then we bring other things that they did last time, and then we bring. So we are not dealing with this particular thing that this child did at this moment. So we are bringing so many things in the picture, and the child doesn't even understand. Now, what are you talking about? Because they did this thing, you bring it because they did. So, and then you're shouting. So you're not focusing on what they did. So we need to sit down and focus on only that one behavior that's brought us here today. So you tell your child, why are we sitting in your teacher's class? Why are we sitting in the
Why
teacher's
are we
office?
here today? Yes.
Why are we here today? So that's what has brought us here today, is the behavior of the child, and that is what we should focus on now. Not bringing so many other things. And you remember last week you did this. I spoke to you, you didn't listen. And the other week we've diverted.
And when the child is also diverting and saying, Mommy, it's because last year you promised to buy me a birthday gift, you didn't buy me. Again, the child is taking away from the behavior, is taking the blame to the mother again.
To the mother.
So the parent must focus on that specific behavior at that time.
So all of us have diverted, all of us. And then that thing that has brought us here, why we are sitting on the principal's office, or why we are sitting in our living room having this discussion, or why the mom is shouting from the kitchen, or why the dad is reading his newspaper and thinks, I've had enough of this child, because this child is just as bad as the mom. What is that behavior that brought us here? Why are we sitting here? Let's just focus on that. Forget what Angela did last week. Forget what Tom did yesterday. Let's focus
on this specific behavior.
This specific behavior. So if we manage to tackle every behavior on its own, then we can get somewhere. But if we are like this, every time something happens, Benjamin, we are like this, till this. We don't want to just focus on one. But if we come to a realization that we only have to focus with this particular behavior. So when we focus with this one, tackle it, it's done. If another one happens again, we deal with that, we focus on that, we tackle it, it's done.
Nice.
But I think of parents, we always want, and it's the same thing even as marriage. Last year you did this, you did it again, you said you'll never do it. So we are going all over. We are not even tackling what is on the table at that particular time. So that's what I think as parents we need to start doing. Tackle that behavior and focus on it alone until it's done.
Wow. Parents, I hope you're taking notes now there. This is the time that you have to take the notes and listen carefully. The other thing here, Lydia, is about, I know you briefly talked about responsibility, balancing responsibility, child's responsibilities and parents' responsibilities. And there's a question that most parents should ask themselves today. Who is ultimately responsible of my child's choice in this situation? In this situation of going out and staying there past 10 p.m. or not doing homework, who is responsible for that choice? Is it the parent? Is it the teacher? It's a very fundamental question that I want the parents who are watching and listening to us, that if they find putting more efforts in modeling the behavior, that is fine. But you see, accepting responsibility of your job as a parent is also very important. But also the child must also have responsibilities, because he or she is preparing to become an adult. So briefly again, remind the viewers about balancing this responsibility between the parent and the children. What can they do?
I think first of all, the child is the child's responsibility, because you have given them that. It's like you've given a child a watch, a present. So you've given a child a watch. It's their responsibility to make sure that this watch is looked after. When they're outside with their watch, when they're playing, you're not there to keep on saying, hey, you, the watch, don't do that. The ball will hit the watch. Or don't wash your plates, or don't wash your hands with the watch on, because if water goes on the watch, it's going to spoil. It's their responsibility, because when you've given them this watch, you have told them exactly how this watch works. Don't put water, don't swim with it, don't wash with it, don't play with it because it might break. So you've told them exactly what to do. It's the same thing when they're going out. Example, you've told them exactly when they're going out. If you see children drinking, don't drink, don't smoke, don't have sex, don't do this. You've told them everything that is bad and good out there. Now, it's the child responsibility to make sure that whatever mommy or daddy say, the fundamental foundation that has been laid in that house since I was little, it's my responsibility to follow it. If they don't follow it, you're not out there with them, so you don't know what they're doing. So for one, the first thing is, yes, I've given my child this rules and regulations. I've given my child these answers that they always, because children have so many questions. I've given them the answers. And the one answer is there's always repercussion. In everything, there's a consequence. In everything, you have to pay for it. If you plant a seed, that seed will have to grow. If it grows, somebody will have to harvest it. And the only person who will harvest it is yourself or your generation. So remember that if you go out, it's your responsibility to make sure that the fundamental foundation that your mom grew you up with, or your parents or your dad, has to be followed and has to be kept. So that is the child's responsibility. So if the child now goes out and break that rule, it's not your responsibility.
It's not your responsibility anymore, yeah.
It's not yours anymore, because you have done your part as a parent. So they have to do their part as a child.
Wow. And that's really, really very important for any parent watching, because eventually the parent must look at the bigger picture. I am raising this child, preparing him or her to become an adult.
Yeah.
And in that process, this child must learn and grow. You know, you're learning, your son is learning and growing. But eventually, if you continue blaming yourself for their mistakes, then this child will never grow.
Yeah.
And that's why we said from the beginning, we live in a society that is always blaming someone.
Yes.
Your sister is blaming you. Your mother is blaming you. You're blaming your mother. We live in a world full of blaming. Nobody wants to take responsibility. It's not my mistake. It's my mother. It's because my mother died. That's why I'm suffering like this.
Yeah. Or because my dad was beating me.
Yes.
Because this happened to me. You have to break that cycle. You
Yes.
have the responsibility and the will, because God has given, everybody has a free will. You have the responsibility to break that cycle. But, oh, I'm drinking and beating my wife because my dad was drinking and beating my mom. Come on, grow up. And, oh, I'm treating my children like this because this is how I was treated. Break the cycle and take responsibility for yourself. Stop blaming other people.
Let
Because
people
it's
begin
always about
taking
blaming.
responsibility, including your child. Your child must begin taking responsibility. It is my mistake. I did this and it is wrong. It is not about my mother or my father. And
And Benjamin, if they take responsibility and now you're punishing them for the repercussion, they will not blame you for punishing them. They won't say, my mom and my dad, they're evil. I hate you. You know these things when you watch it, the child say, I hate you. Because you've punished them. It's because they've not taken responsibility and you've not taught them about the repercussion. The thing is, you have to teach your children that everything you do, there's a consequence and there's a repercussion and there's payment time. There is payment. Because if you plant a seed, it's going to grow. So if you plant a rotten seed, you're going to reap a rotten seed. So you have to tell them that. Because when they go out, you're not with them.
you
So they
can't
have
be
to
with
take
them 24 hours. You
responsibility.
can't be with your child for 24 hours. It's impossible.
Exactly. And someone is saying, I know someone is saying that the parents who are far away, even if you're far away from your children, we have phones. You can still talk to your child on the phone, over Zoom, over internet, over whatever. You can talk to your children. You don't have to be there physically. And then as well, if you're not there physically, and that's another thing that parents don't do, explain to your child why you're not there physically.
You must
Because
tell
your
your
child might
child.
just exactly your child might just say, my mom went abroad and left me, my dad went abroad and left me. They didn't leave you. They went abroad for a purpose and a reason. So you need to explain that to your child and explain it every time until it sinks into their subconscious. Don't just say it once and then you say, but Sinilisha Mwambia. No. That's not how it works with children. You have to repeat. Children want repetition. That's why consistency is so important when you're disciplining a child. It's not a one thing and then you leave it. It's over and over and over again. So keep on explaining to your children why you're not there with them and why you're telling them. Because a child might say, look at my mom. She's telling me not to go out, but she's not even here. They'll say that because they don't understand why you're not there. But if they understand the reason why you're not there and you want them to be the way you want them to be, behave nicely or behave good or behave so that tomorrow they can be good citizens in the community or society or the world, they will understand, okay, this is why mom is not here. Because if you don't explain to them, maybe you've left them with some very, I don't care if it's your mom, your dad, your sister, your brother, they can be evil people. Your parent, we know that relatives can be so evil, from your mom to dad to whoever. Some of them, not all of them. Some of them. So imagine you've left your child with a very evil mother who always just wants you to send money, money, money. If you don't send, hey, mama yako, your mother. So if you don't explain to your child, it is your responsibility to discipline your child, not your parents, not your sister or your brother, yourself. So whether you're there or not, you can still talk to your child over the phone. Tell this child over and over and over again until it sinks into subconscious that even if somebody else tries to tell them something different, they're like, nah, that's not what my mom said. That's not what my dad said. And they have to believe what you're saying to them. They have to believe it.
I like that. There are so many ladies who follow me and they have left their children back home. We understand it's a very difficult situation. But what Lydia is saying, you have to explain over and over. Tell them mommy or daddy is out here because of ABCD. Children understand. They really, really understand. If you didn't know, if you explain to and tell them the truth. I left home because of this and this, and I will be back home on this time. Please be patient with me. I will come back home. And my challenge also is for the ladies who have left their children far away. Yes, you will take blame when your children misbehaves. That's a very sad thing as we're winding up. As I always try to say and speak to some of these ladies, your money, you left your home country to go and look for money, for greener pastures. Please, save this money or use this money wisely. I try to discourage them from having these fake relationships, like the parent takes all the blame, like, wow, my children are suffering. Let me try to get a boyfriend and see if I can feel better, and then maybe we can get married and then we can raise children, And the men out there can see that you are taking all the blame. They can see you're struggling as a parent, and they are very willing, without any shame, to take all the little money that you're making.
Yeah.
They will take all the money and they don't care, because the society doesn't care. As we said from the beginning, if your child is going to misbehave, all your money has been spent on a relationship, to build a relationship, and then you have forgotten that you have children growing up. If these children do not behave very well, again, we will still blame you. In fact, the man who is taking away all your money, he will also be among the guys who will blame you as the mother. So be very careful about the relationships you are trying to make, especially when you're far away from your children. Your children need you, and they need you because you need money, and you need that money to be with you, not to be with someone else.
Yeah.
The last part here, Lydia, is creating a culture of accountability at home. Somebody said charity begins at home.
Yes.
So the father must be accountable, the mother must be accountable. We have parents who say, for example, the reason why my teen daughter is misbehaving like this is because we divorced. I am sure you have heard that,
Yeah, so many times.
Yes. The reason why huyu mtoto wangu anasumbua hivi ni kwa sababu baba yake tuliwachana na baba yake. Yeah? The reason why my son is misbehaving like this is because the mother was too hard on him. The father was too soft on him. So again, the family are not creating the culture of being accountable, that it is not my mistake. It is the child's mistake. Let's summarize with that and tell the parents to stop having excuses.
I think most of the time we don't have I think what we should do as parents is have intellectual discussion with each other. As parents, whether you're together or not, because whether you're together, there's a child in between, and this child deserves and needs both parents, unless there's abuse. We've always said unless there's an abuse between a father to the child or a mother to the child. But if there's no abuse to the mother to the child or the father to the child, all these two parents deserve to have a relationship with this child. But if we have an intellectual discussion with both parents on how to have accountability on our behavior as parents, first of all, because some children will really, really misbehave because of their parents. Like you said, no accountability, no responsibility. Is always one parent blaming the other one parent blaming the other one. So that child, what would the child do? The child will blame one
Misbehave.
party.
Yeah, yeah. The child will
Misbehave.
blame the parents. Mhm.
Yes, when the child is with the mom, the child will blame the dad because that's what the mom wants to hear. When the child is with the child will blame the mom because that's what the dad wants to hear. So this child is playing both parties because he wants to fit in both parties. He wants to be loved with both parties. So there's no accountability of actions. So that, when it comes to accountability, is down to parents. It's
Even
down
the
to
ones who
mom,
have separated, like for your case, you separated long time ago.
even the ones who have separated.
Yes.
And if you feel like parents, you cannot have intellectual discussion between the two of you. The best thing is let the father and the mother have their own relationship with the child, but do not spoil these children. Do not use the children as scapegoats and fight. And because you see, if two bulls are fighting, they always say it's the grass that suffers. So if the two of you are fighting and you can't even have a decent conversation on how to bring up your children and discipline your children, then it's your children who are going to suffer. You are adults already. You've grown up already. You've done your time. And now you want to bring these children in the society. A child who has known nothing. What are you bringing this child into this world? For what purpose? The child will end up in prison. The child will end up killed. The child will end up as a young mother. She doesn't even know how to bring up a child. You've destroyed this child's life. You've destroyed their future just because the two of you are in a battlefield and the grass is getting hurt, which is the child. So the two of you have to be accountable. The two of you have to be accountable for this child's behavior.
And when the
When
other
it
parent
comes
is not accountable,
when the other parent is not accountable, that is when now a child starts misbehaving. Because when there are two parents, one parent is accountable of the child's behavior, takes responsibility. The child goes to the dad or the mom, whichever way. That other parent is toxic, proper toxic, and transferring their toxicity or whatever to the child. And then when the child comes this side, the child is so confused, Benjamin, because now the child doesn't even know, what should I do? Should I do it like this, the way mommy said it, or daddy, or should I do it like this, the way mommy said it, or daddy? Because you're passing your toxic behavior, your negative energy to this child. Your bad behavior. You're not accountable for your own behavior as a parent, or you're not taking responsibility. And then now you're transferring that to the child. Now you're even confusing the child the more, because the child doesn't even know what to do. So as
the
parents,
yeah.
we need to be accountable. We need to be accountable for our own behavior in bringing up our children, whether we are together or not.
The same way, even with the children, also have to become accountable to their mistakes and what they are doing wrong, especially when you have explained to them, if you do this, this is wrong, and I am not going to take the blame as a parent. Yeah. Wow. And remember that as we finish this show, understand that excuses are not helpful to our children or us. Yeah. Excuses are never going to be helpful. I don't believe in excuses. If I make a mistake, I own up as a man, as a father. I do not want to take that as an excuse to blame the other person. And excuses encourage blaming others. Yeah. If you're a man or a woman, and you know what is so sad is this thing continues. If your child is always making excuses for their mistakes, as they grow older, they will continue with the same culture. They will continue having excuses of blaming others, and this will lead to guilt and shame. There are so many parents who are very guilty and very shameful because of their children's behavior. But at the end of the day, even though you're feeling guilty or shameful, just go back and look back. What did you do, or how did your child never took responsibilities for their mistakes? Guilt and shame is another thing we have to talk about. There are so many parents who are parenting with guilt and shame. Shameful to be a single mother, shameful to have a child who looks like this, shameful to have so many children, shameful
for wedlock.
Yeah, shameful for having been divorced, or there are people who are going through a divorce, and they take all this as a blame to the child and to themselves, and which is not really good.
Yeah.
Remember, if your child is always blaming others, he never has to change and probably will not. If your
Exactly.
child blames others, he will never stop blaming others.
And we have something called aura. We have something called aura, Benjamin. And that aura is around you. It's the aura. You are actually in a, like you're in a bubble, and the bubble is the aura. So that's why sometimes you see that you walk in a room and people say, wow, you just walked in and there's this positive energy. That's the aura that follows you. Or you walked in and there's just this negative energy. Oh my God, did you feel that? Because there's an aura that follows you. So if you're full of excuses, every time, that aura, the aura of excuses will always follow you. The excuses might be genuine, Benjamin, and I'm telling you this for a fact. I've worked with people who, today we have a meeting, their tire busted. It's true. Their tire really busted. The next day something happened. Oh, the trains were on strike. The next day something, my child was sick. It's true, all these things happen, but because the aura around them is full of excuses, because that is what that is what their life is always excuse. It's true. And then you sit down and think, why is it that this person always has excuse after excuse? And they're true excuses. That is because the aura that follows them is the aura of excuses, because that is what they've brought to themselves. So the aura that follows you, you can even check it out. The aura that follows you is something that you have embraced, something that you have allowed in your life. Because you've embraced negativity so much, now your aura will be negative. Everything you do is negativity. You enter a room and people just feel the darkness, because the aura of darkness is following you. The aura of positive energy is following you. The aura of negativity or positivity is following you. The aura of excuses, everything you do. And that's where you see, Benjamin, somebody, and this is almost 90% of people who come from an abusive relationship. The first husband was abusive. The second was abusive. They just get people who are always abusive to them, because the aura of that negativity and abuse is always following them. So you have to break that aura. You have to sit down and break it. You have to, it's like a really bad bubble that you're in. So you have to break that aura. Otherwise, that aura will keep on following you, and it will be just negative upon negative upon negative. Now, your children, it will trickle down on them, because that's who you are. So you only give what you have. So I have a negative vibe. That's what I'll give to my children. Negative vibe.
And
But you have to
always
break it.
excuses, yes, having excuses and blaming people. Wow. I think we need to finish there right now, ladies and
Yes.
gentlemen. Whew. Blaming and blaming. Some of you joined us and left. If you joined us and you left, you can come back and watch this video as a repeat on my YouTube channel. Lydia Tett Olet has been my guest. You can find her on Facebook. Just hit her up and follow her. Also watch some of the videos and some of the shows that she does. Remember, this show is every Monday. Today was our 17th edition. If you're watching for the first time, there are other 17 editions that we have done before. And if you're a parent who really wants the best and to learn some things, you can go to my YouTube. You can search for these Lydia Tett's videos together with me, and then you can be watching as you are just doing other things. You never know, whatever we are discussing here can help you as a parent, as a father or as a mother. And with that note, I want to say thank you so much for those of you who have bought me stars on Facebook. Thank you so much for supporting the channel, supporting my page. I really, really want to appreciate you. Everyone who shared the video and tagged your friends on the comments, we sincerely, me and Lydia, say thank you so much. We don't take it for granted. You give us audience, you give us feedback. We don't take it for granted. Thank you so much. We hope to see you again next Monday, again in the other coming shows every single Monday around this time that you see down here on the screen. Lydia, asante sana.
Asante. Asante.
Say goodbye to the viewers, and let's see them next week.
Yes, thank you so much, everybody who have taken their sweet time to be here. And in fact, those ones who've been with us from the beginning to now, they're still here. Thank you so, so much. And like we say, just share this video because it might help somebody there out there. And like we said, parenting is just like marriage. There's no book for parenting or marriage, but there's guidelines. So if you feel like, oh, this thing has helped me, just try and implement it in your parenting, and you see the change. Because that's what I did. I went to schools, I went to colleges, I went to, not because I knew that there's a rule, but there was a guideline which I followed, and actually, to be honest, it really really helped me. So you too, you can follow it, and you come back here again some years later and tell us the testimony. Otherwise, thank you so much, and thank you so much, Benjamin, for the platform. I totally appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Lydia. You're welcome. And also thank you always for joining me every Monday. I don't take it for granted. Thank you, guys. Thank you, the viewers. See you next Monday. Enjoy the rest of your day, your evening, or your night, wherever you are. Please don't forget to share. Bye-bye. And we love you. Thank you. Goodbye.